200,000 Russian soldiers have been killed in action in the Russo-Ukrainian war. That is a large amount, and I think, I think that makes it the deadliest war of the millennium in terms of military losses. And of course, the Ukrainian losses are similarly high, but of course, Russia has better statistics stuff available. Because the thing with the Ukrainians is when the Russians are on the offensive, which means that when one of their soldiers is killed, their body falls into Russian territory, and that means their death is not confirmed. That means they're missing in action. But because Russia is on the offensive, their numbers are more reliable. So yeah. So basically, the Russian offensive, Russia is steadily gaining territory, but in my personal opinion, that territory is not worth the amount of Russian lives lost to take it. So I think Russia should be looking for an end to this war, but they're not, because of the political leadership. I think since 2022, the war has practically been over, and if they just stopped in 2020, at the end of 2022, if the war had stopped, that's 20,000 Russians killed, and also the Donbass allies. But that's quite a lot of, that's acceptable amount of casualties per kilometer, square kilometer. But with the current war, it seems to be fighting a war of attrition to destroy the Ukrainian army. But the problem is the Russians are fighting a limited war, which means professional soldiers, and these professional soldiers are getting paid quite a lot of money. So yeah. So that means the war is expensive. But what I think Russia should have done is they should have just called up a total mobilization and get it over and done with. But because of the limited war, it means that the Ukrainians think they can actually have a chance, because they actually do have a chance against this smaller professional army. And the Ukrainians have been holding it back. And of course, both sides have been suffering a huge amount of casualties. And this war has been going on for 4 years. 4 years. And it's just been a lot of fighting. It's just been an atrocious war. Of course, some ridiculous people say it's millions, but I think I trust the open source information. I think the 200,000 number is accurate. So yeah, I think 200,000 is way too high, and I think Vladimir Putin should have ended this war years ago. It's clear that they aren't desperate for peace, and that they want total all the territories, but I think those square kilometers of fields are not worth the amount of Russian lives lost against to get. And think of all the economic improvements the Russians could have done for the economy. And yeah, so this war should have ended years ago. But if Russia wants to defeat the Ukraine militarily and get what it wants, then if they did a total mobilization, then the Ukrainians would know that they can't win this war, so would be forced to accept Russia's demands. But Russia is not. But they were a limited war, which is actually killing more Russians. So, because of the government's not wanting a proper full-scale war, then they are killing more Russians than if they actually did a proper war. The lesson in World War I was, don't hesitate, because you know, pretty much when you go on the assault, don't hold back, because holding back to like try and reduce your own casualties actually creates more casualties. Takes longer. So just like go in, go hard. And that's the lesson they learnt in World War One. And the Russians have not learnt that lesson. And because of that, 200,000 Russians have been killed. More will be killed. This war will go on for another 2 years. So that's I'm just going to assume the casualty rate goes down. So that's another 100,000 Russians killed. When it should have only been like 50,000 if they'd done a total mobilization. So yeah, it's a tragic number, and of course the Ukrainian lives are just as tragic. But as I said, the Ukrainian statistics are not as good. So that is all.